What is up, Gear Squad? Shane Gear here, bringing you another video, and today it is a special episode of GearCast. We're going to be doing GearCast episodes all week long, or all day long, I guess in 2 days, 3 days, because it's E3 week, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We just went through the EA press conference. If you guys don't know what E3 is, we'll jump into that in a second, but of course I'm not here by myself. This is GearCast, which means we've got two people. One is my loyal, gracious co-host, Vampire Peaches. And Vampire Peaches, tell us who you have right next to you.
Hello, this is me, and it's Quincy again. What's going on? Patriots superfan, Quincy Ramirez.
Always. All right, cool. I mean, you guys have seen Quincy before, and if you haven't seen Quincy, otherwise known as Fat Kid Baby Seat, he's been in one of our other GearCasts once before. Yeah, we've played games with him before as well. He was part of the Cat Stash clan. So shout out to Quincy for being or both of you guys are part of this Cat Stash clan. So some of you guys actually may remember him through that.
Yeah, I fell off hard.
Yeah.
Always
Always.
So we'll definitely talk a little bit more about you, Quincy, and how you guys are both doing. But fun fact is letting everybody know who's watching this show right now, if you are interested in more awesome coverage for E3, stay tuned to this channel, but also stay tuned to Peaches Picks, which will be in the description below, which is a podcast that Peaches does on the side. So if you guys are not on the side, but he does that full time, that's his gig. And we'll definitely talk about that soon. Because it's an awesome podcast. I'm in one of the episodes. I'll be in a couple other ones. So it's a lot of fun, but we will talk about that in another episode. But if you're interested, check out the description below. All right. So, gentlemen, today we will be talking about the EA press conference that happened at EA Play. This is not actually EA Plays, I think it was called. It's not actually part of E3. It's just part of E3 week, starting off on Sunday, which is today. And it was fairly interesting. Basically, what we're going to do is go through the entire press conference. We're not trying to make this video super long, but we're going to go through each and every big announcement. There are about 8 of them. And once we go through each one, we will talk about, just kind of a quick talk about each one, and talk about what you liked, what you didn't like at the end. Does that sound good to you guys?
That's great.
All right, great. So first, we're going to talk about number 1 is Titanfall 2. Now, for those that have not seen Titanfall 2 trailer, we're going to try and get all these trailers up. Actually, they'll definitely be on my Facebook page. So go ahead and look for it on Facebook. Just Google, search on Facebook, Change Your Gaming. But Titanfall 2 looks amazing. They showed a couple different things. It was crazy action, first of all. For me, I love this. It looked really awesome. It had a lot of crazy action. They had the grappling hook, which a lot of people, that was kind of one of those things that people were like, oh, they're probably going to add a grappling hook. It was just one of those things that were out there, a leak, I guess. And it was there. There is a technical test coming out for Titanfall 2. If you're part of EA's, or I don't remember exactly what they said. I think you just have to go to the website and sign up for it, and they'll tell you more. And then they also showed the campaign trailer, which leaked, unfortunately, a little while before the actual conference. But both of them, both of them I thought looked pretty cool. The multiplayer trailer and the campaign trailer. And the number one thing that a lot of people are waiting for is the release date, which is October 28th, 2016, which we'll definitely talk about. Personally, I'm just going to get this off my chest. Like I said, I thought it was really dope. I've been waiting for Titanfall to come out on PS4, and now that we finally have it, and it looks like crazier action than never before. So how about you guys? How do you guys feel about Titanfall 2?
Okay, Quincy, have you played the first one? Because you have an Xbox One. What do you think of the first one, and how do you think it relates to this?
I thought it was great. I thought the first one was great for like the first month or two, and then I kind of noticed that like everyone's kind of faded off because it was like only a few maps, a few bots. It wasn't really that much to do after a while.
Sure.
But if this has like the replayability that they're showing it, then I think it'll be pretty great.
I mean, they're definitely reaching out to a lot more people. I mean, it was cool. We caught like the last third of it because we came in about 15 minutes late to the stream. But what we saw like the Prime Directive 1, do this thing too, and the way that it was framed, and I'm like, there's definitely a more built relationship between the player and like your actual exosuit. So I'm assuming customization there, but it did look freaking nuts.
I mean, the gameplay was cool.
Oh yeah,
the movement mechanics were good. The Titans were fun. They were good to use.
I like the simple robot designs too. They're kind of very like Dragon Ball or like Akira-esque too, like in terms of their like rectangular and like circular designs and stuff. So I really like that too.
Definitely.
Cool. So do you guys think that you're actually going to jump on this game when it comes out? October 28th, it's set. We already know when it's coming out. Are you guys going to try and get to the technical test or what?
Technical test, definitely, and then I'll see for myself if that's something I want to invest in, because Battlefield 1's coming out 2 weeks before, 3 weeks after it, right? Before it. So we'll see where my loyalties lie there. Exactly.
I remember EA said that they want Battlefield or Titanfall 2 to come out 3 weeks after Battlefield 1. I guess kind of the same as Infinite Warfare.
Oh, wow.
Or kind of like get their games out there because they're like, all right, these are our games for the year.
Yeah, sure.
But, you know, I mean, I'll probably want to see where I'm at. I mean, Battlefield 1's like all I'm hyped for pretty much from EA.
Oh, yeah, FPS multiplayer base is going to be extremely split. But all the money.
Yeah, this is going to be really, really interesting. In October, you guys know October is like a big time of the year for games, especially for FPS games, and they're all coming out around October, November. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. But I think we covered a lot with Titanfall 2. Looks pretty awesome. October 28th, all that good stuff. Did want to mention one thing, and I know Vampire Peaches, I feel like you'll know this better than a lot of us. The guy that was playing the voice actor for the robot, who was that? Did that sound
like Optimus Prime?
It sounded like Optimus Prime, and it sounded like the dude who does the Toonami promos.
Yeah.
Which I think I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, Ty, right. So I'm not 100% sure, but we'll have to see. Anyway, so let's keep jumping in. That was number 1, Titanfall 2. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below about Titanfall 2. Number 2 is Madden NFL 2017. Now, I know for myself and for Vampire Peaches, we're not super into, EA sports games and stuff like that. But in general, I thought it looked pretty cool. And then the number 1 thing was I thought it was really awesome how I believe Peter Moore came out and talked about the different ways you can have competitive play. When you look at competitive play, the competitive scene, it's always about, we have, we have these giant tournaments for the top players of all time. And it kind of just leaves people out. I mean, even if you look like a game like Blacklight Retribution, a lot of people, if you don't feel like you can be the best, why do you keep playing? And it's really difficult to keep people playing a game when it's just the best people all the time who are on the big screen. And so I think it's cool that they said, listen, we're going to have other ways for you to play, smaller challenges and other tournaments that aren't as big as I think they call them EA majors, EA major events. And so I thought that was pretty cool. Otherwise, I wasn't super interested just because that's not something that really affects me, these sports games. But I know a lot of you guys, hit me up in the comment section. Let me know if you guys are interested in it. But how about you two? I know, Quincy, you definitely like sports more than myself, Vampire Peaches. What did you feel about Madden?
Yeah, I mean, I play Madden games every once in a while. Like, I'll switch every 2 years or so. The last one I played was 14. So I'll probably – I'm also, like, as you love introducing me, I'm a Patriots super fan, so
I'll get there eventually. Being a new Bostonian,
he's on the cover.
You're kind of obligated now. You're contractually obligated as a Patriots fan.
You're contractually obligated to like Patriots fan. But I think it looks great. I think the mechanics are good. I read that they switched their announcers, which is definitely a good refreshment for the series. Jim Nantz and Phil Simms, they do a great job, but they've been doing it for 5 or 6 years now. So getting some new people in there who real time kind of try to call it. It's probably gonna be good.
For sure, they didn't spend a lot of time showing the gameplay and stuff like that, which is fine.
They more show the moves and highlights and stuff like that of what you can do. But
and a lot of tournament stuff, a lot of player-based stuff because they spent way too much time on FIFA. So we're gonna move on to that.
Sure. So really, it was kind of a switch from there. They talked about Titanfall 2 and then Madden 17. And then they talked about some other things throughout this conference. We're skipping some of it because it really didn't have to do with us as PlayStation fans and kind of the platforms that we play on. But then was Mass Effect Andromeda. Am I right?
Yeah.
So for me, I know a lot of people out there love Mass Effect, and I love BioWare as a company. I've never really been able to drive myself into their games. But the number one reason has always been because of gameplay. Dragon Age Inquisition was one of the first BioWare games I've really ever enjoyed. I did play Dragon Age the Origins, and I enjoyed it, but not really I only played a little bit of it, and I was like, this is cool, but I never was able to enjoy it to an extent where I was like, oh yeah, I need to keep playing this game. Dragon Age Inquisition, that happened for a while, but I kind of fell off. Mass Effect, I've always been enjoyed watching and reading, and not reading, but seeing those stories and watching those stories, but I never liked playing it. The gameplay was always a little too stale for me. This time, with the trailer, we only saw a tiny smidgen of gameplay. Yeah. And I thought, to me, it was enough to get me interested. I don't know if I'm like super hyped and on the hype train for this thing. Again, I'm not on the hype train for Mass Effect in general. I'm also not a huge space shooter fan, but it did look really, really awesome. And the way that they're selling it and the way that they're talking about it looked really cool. New story, new cast. One of the most interesting things for those guys who are kind of game science or game technology nerds is that it's on the Frostbite engine. And this is EA's like primary engine. Battlefield runs on it. That's like kind of where they started it with. I think Battlefield 3, the new one at least, the new Frostbite engine was Battlefield 3 or 4. It was a really big deal. And so now Mass Effect is running on the Frostbite engine. And so the Frostbite engine. And so I think that's pretty cool. They're going to show more in the fall. That was, I think, the most unfortunate thing is that, we're not really going to see, we didn't really get to hear much about it or see much about it. We got to see a really cool trailer, but we're not going to hear much until the fall. And I guess that's okay. Otherwise, I thought it was a really beautiful game. And like I said, that small smidgen of gameplay got me interested, but we'll have to wait to see more. What did you guys feel, or how did you guys feel about Mass Effect Andromeda?
The unique thing of that is that you and I are the minority in terms of BioWare fans. We can't get into their games. We acknowledge their importance and they're really great stories and stuff like that. There's no denying that they are important. They're just not for us because we prefer more tactile, like action-oriented RPGs and stuff. That frankly, there are a lot that do better stuff than BioWare games. So again, not for us, but it's definitely a beautiful game. I definitely feel as though they should have shown a bit more gameplay because I'm not 100% sold on it yet. Because it's like, okay, I want to show is this something I can hop in yet? It's interesting on the development side, seeing what they're doing. But I was just like, okay, can we move this along? I know because it was a lot of stereotypical corporate speak of new places to go and things to do and things to see. I'm like, that's great, but how about you show? I just want to see more stuff. And they're like, here. Okay, you're done. Let's move on to FIFA. I'm like, are you sure?
Mainly felt like they were just trying to come out and say we're still in development.
Yeah, it's don't forget about this. Yeah.
But we're still they're working on it. But I didn't play Mass Effect a lot. I played played the 3. I played 3 a little bit. The multiplayer. I thought it was okay.
Oh yeah, I did have multiplayer, didn't it?
I thought it co-op. It horde mode. I thought it was okay. But I might give this one a shot because I missed the first one and I do like the story. So
okay.
Probably gonna give it a shot.
Yeah, so we'll have to see. I mean, I think, in general, I think we all have the same kind of feeling about this. Is we got to wait to see more. And I don't think they had to show more this E3 because that hype train is already rolling really strong. People love Mass Effect. And like you said, we're kind of in the minority when it talks to we love RPGs, especially myself. I just couldn't jump into this one. But we'll see what happens this fall. Other than that, they went to something that I thought was pretty cool. Not really it wasn't a game or anything like that. But they talked about Play to Give, which was part of EA.
That was great. I was really impressed.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really cool. Basically, they have a whole bunch of organizations. I think it was 5, not a whole bunch, but I think it was 5 or 6. He for She was one of them, and Code.org, and a couple other ones. Basically, they set up these special modes in games where you're actually able to play these specific games, and the more people that play and the more people that do things, it kind of opens up. It's a little complex, I think. They didn't really speak about it too much. Basically, they're giving money to these charities and these organizations, and they're putting these special modes into games to get you to think a little bit more. And I think the more people play them, the more impactful the giving is from EA. And I think that's really, really cool. I mean, a lot of people will just crap on EA a ton. And I like EA in general. I don't hate them. I think they've done some stuff that sucks for us as gamers, but they are a business. And I think this shows that, they do have a philanthropy and they do care about people and they care about their industry. A lot of those are STEM. A lot of those are to help people learn how to code and develop. And I think that's important because that's what our industry is based on, right? It's based on the arts and science coming together and creating awesome opportunities for people. So I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know if you guys have much to say about that. I mean, it was a short portion, but
Let's hope that it's more than just here for $1.99 get this weapon and we're gonna donate the proceeds for he or she. Let's hope that they're like oriented modes to be like, hey, community challenge, get 10,000 kills with the sniper rifle for Battlefield 1. Like, you gotta get this done, and you'll be able to get this in-game content. And once we reach a certain tier, we're going to give you guys free battle packs, and we're going to move on to donate this X amount of money for this charity.
Yeah, they did mention that. They were like, yeah, there's one, and I think it was in a Star Wars game. They were like, use an entire like female squadron to do this thing, or have like I don't know, it was like do specific modes in a specific game. But that's what they had mentioned, was that it was going to be very specific. And it was supposed to make you think when you're doing things. And I thought that was pretty cool. Especially, I mean, for the coding ones, I'm assuming it's just some random in-game challenge. The more people that are involved, the more money is raised or something like that. But we'll have to see. I thought that was just cool that they kind of added that, philanthropic aspect. But all right, let's move on. This next piece, which, again, I don't really think that you and I are that interested in or into, but FIFA 17.
Again, again. Like, are you kidding me? Like, go on, just go ahead.
I mean, this is the biggest thing I think is though you and I aren't fans. I mean, again, we just did a video about this that will go up on online soon. But I'm an optimistic critic, right? And I like to think about how companies do what they do and games are shown. And I think in general, like FIFA is one of the biggest franchises of all time, right? And I think it even showed the fact that they had an entire press conference here or in the US in Los Angeles. And they had a press conference in London at the same time. I thought that was pretty cool. And I think it spoke volumes to, obviously, they're trying to talk to their core audience when they mention FIFA and these other sports games, not Madden, but FIFA. FIFA's a big one. Everyone in the world watches football. And when I say football, I mean like soccer, right? And so I think that's a big deal. And I think that they really sold it well this time. They brought up a lot of really what I would call sports nerd talk. Like they talked about a whole bunch of stuff that I don't understand at all, but I thought it was cool that they brought it in. And it's even cooler. Like I like it when they do that for us and they go deep into the nerdy aspects of RPGs and things like that. And I know that guy who's sitting there just waiting for the next FIFA announcement is like, why do I care about Mass Effect Andromeda? What the heck is an Andromeda? And so I thought that was pretty cool. But in general, I mean, the big pieces that I heard about and that I thought was interesting was the Frostbite engine. Once again, the Frostbite engine is getting a lot of love from EA, and that's interesting. There's another black kid. Actually, someone on my
it's always a black kid. If it's a sports campaign and it's some black kid from the hood, like from nothing to rags and riches.
Well, that's new though. That's a new thing, right? I mean, last year they did it for basketball, but they haven't done it otherwise.
Oh no,
right?
2K14, 15, and 16 all had stories.
Oh wow, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. But it was all basketball, right?
It's all basketball, yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah.
For a single player campaign for FIFA.
Sure, yeah. Like I think that makes sense. That there's this moving up from like that's the point, right? Is the streets to the professional, which is unfortunate. I guess they're painting like all these black kids are coming from the street. Do I hate it? I don't think I really care either way. But I thought it was pretty cool that they had a black guy representing football. Like this is huge. You know what I mean? Like this random kid comes out, Alex Hunter, and you're going to go through the journey of this random black kid going through, football and what that means. I don't know what that means. I don't know what football is like in terms of soccer and all of that surrounds it. But I thought it was really cool that they're going to show us that journey, us as in the people that are actually interested in FIFA. And then the last thing is that they mentioned, or the two last things that they mentioned is coming out in September. And they also did that kind of interesting thing for the fans is they made that kind of joke about the managers, and they brought out the one manager and he was like, how come you didn't mention me? It was a little awkward, but I thought it was kind of cute. Again, a nod at the people that actually care about this stuff. And I thought that was pretty cool. Do you guys actually have anything you want to say about it, or is it just kind of like, let's move on to the next subject?
It was sort of a thing where like I personally was extremely annoyed because like they definitely spent a lot of time with it, what I felt as though it could have been compressed to like a 5 or 6 minute thing. But it wasn't as bad as last year or like last summer when they had like that entire like 15-minute segment of them sitting down with obviously a living legend. But it's just like that definitely It was the banners that also provoked me to be more annoyed. It was like 5 minutes until the Battlefront update, but then like 15 minutes later, we were still on FIFA. And then another banner was able to say 5 minutes until the Battlefield update. And it's like, what are you talking about? We're still talking about FIFA. So that was something weird with the stream. I don't know if you noticed that at all.
Where were you watching the stream at? Were you watching it on IGN?
On the EA's official feed.
Huh. Yeah, I didn't see the banners come up for that. I saw other banners come up. I saw like questionnaires and stuff like that, but I didn't see anything that was telling me 5 minutes until the Battlefield stream. But maybe it was just some glitches or something.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking. But like, it's just like, got a new campaign, you got new reactions. That could have been just like compressed. Like, I didn't need another like weird scripted like stage appearance by some guy that we didn't know. But like, again, that's just because it doesn't appeal to us. But I didn't necessarily think about it that like, oh yeah, so the face of like the world's most popular sport is gonna be a black kid. Like, I didn't think about that scope. It was just sort of like a, okay, let's move on. I want to see what you got for Star Wars. I want for Battlefield. So I was just biased.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly think when you take yourself out of it for a second, it is really cool that they brought up, some of the top managers, for example. They were like, oh, the guy that runs Manchester United is a really big deal to have him on the stage. Of course, it doesn't mean anything to me, but to have him be there for everyone else is a really big deal. And on the same stage, mention the fact that we're going to follow this black kid's journey to becoming one of the top football players of all time within this game, obviously. But I thought that was pretty cool. But like you said, our bias
is a great series. It works. It's functional. It's fun to play. Like, anybody can pick it up. So it's like, no denying it's important.
Sure. Okay, well, let's move on. FIFA, nah. Let's move on to something that I thought was really interesting, especially me as someone who works with a video game studio. Number 6 is EA Originals. This was basically EA coming out and saying, listen, we're not just a AAA publisher. We are now going to publish and help and support and partner with indie developers as well. And I'm going to be really interested to see how they do that and what they plan on doing. And I think this is really great for EA as a business. They're going to be able to grow in scope in terms of what kind of games they're pushing out and what it means to be an EA title. But they mentioned that all the indie games are going, all the indie devs are keeping 100% of their profit. This is what I think is really interesting, and I have no idea how they're going to do it. But they showed one particular game. They kept mentioning Unraveled, and I thought that was cute, that they kept nodding to this game that kind of opened up everyone's hearts to EA. But it was a game called Fe, F-E, and it was a gorgeous game, all about music and sounds and nature, and basically the man coming in and trying to take it all away. The graphics and everything really came all together to tell a story that really was supposed to set you in the mood for to just think about things and enjoy this, let the gameplay kind of get out of the way and just feel everything. And I felt that through the crappy live stream. No, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't 1080p, 60 frames per second, live stream. I still felt the feelings that came out of this trailer. And so I think it's really interesting that EA is doing this EA Originals thing, and they showed one of their newest games coming out for it. And I wonder how they plan on continually curating these indie titles and turning them into EA Originals. I'm really interested to see how that goes. But in terms of Fe and the EA Originals program, how did you guys feel about this?
I mean, it's important, right? Because yet another major AAA publisher or like another big corporation with the means to do stuff for indie developers has just opened up. Because having taken an indie games class, I understand the devs love to go to PlayStation when it comes to assisting with their, not only assisting them, of course, publishing their stuff on a platform. So I didn't hear the 100% profit thing. That is so interesting. That is really awesome because clearly they want to get, that would mean that they're trying to buff up their ecosystem. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you got PlayStation, you got Xbox, and you got people on PC that want to help you guys out, but not necessarily, if you're looking for a profit, you're going to try to get with us. So that's going to get a lot of indie devs and be like, oh, snap, maybe we should take our project to EA first. And so it's going to take EA to a different scope in the sense that when I think about EA, you think AAA. You think big, awesome, gigantic titles. You think
I think Battlefield, I think sports, and that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah, so we don't necessarily think about indie stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we were just like, oh, okay, so this is EA wanting to have their indie darling. This is them wanting to have their own Ori the Blind Forest. This is them wanting to be like, hey, let's bring us down to earth a little bit. Let's get down to the little guys and show them that we can do stuff with them too. And I'm like, that's
nice.
nice.
And The Sims.
And The Sims.
I'm a really big Sims fan. It's
Sure.
It throws people off. I don't get it. But it's
you
great.
upset you didn't see her talk up and like, let's talk about emotions.
I mean, I was really hoping that they would say Sims 4 is coming to console, and I'd be like,
eventually, I'm sure.
It better. But you and you, Brandon, have always been like more into indie games than I have. It really wasn't until I'm trying to think. It wasn't until like Brothers, I want to say.
Great game.
That was pretty much when I got into indie games, and then ever since then I gave them more of a look. I kind of just passed over before that.
Sure.
Then I tried Journey, then I tried Ori and the Blind Forest and all that stuff. But this game looks great.
Yeah, gorgeous game. Love the colors.
It's going to be a really good story.
So like it's one of those things where it's like it's very interesting how they brought that up. Like, hey, 100% of profit. This is what we're going to do. This is a game. Whereas when PlayStation announced or Xbox did, they had an entire highlight reel. Like we've already started. We've already picked up. We already have like all these projects underway. So I'm like, okay, cool. So like. The profit again is going to stick out to indie devs like potentially.
I did think we were going to have more games than just the one, but maybe maybe this is the one that's the furthest along, and they're just
of course.
Let's put this one out for now.
But like of what we have, let's show this first.
Put your best foot forward.
Of course, we will.
Stuff like that. So.
No denying it. It was a big deal. So.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, I thought it was really good. I thought, the way that they announced it was good. I mean, I thought the whole thing. I just was like, I mean, we have to remember that Microsoft and Sony are publishers. Sure, they're video game manufacturers as well. They manufacture hardware. They are the guys that make these consoles, and so Nintendo too. But Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony are publishers, and EA is a rival of theirs when it comes to publishing. And so they're saying, hey, you don't just have to go to the console manufacturers. You can come to us. We'll get you on the console as well. Like, don't worry about it. Like, just because they have the console doesn't mean that you can't get on it. And so I think that that's really awesome that now there are multiple ways to get on, to be an indie developer. And the idea is, right, to make everyone be able to make their own games and be able to curate those games over time through these services. So I think it's really cool that we have that. But in general, I think we feel the same way about it. This was important. This was cool. Can't wait to see what comes out of it, right? Let's move on to a big, very, very big topic. I'm only going to talk about the kind of the facts here, and then I'm just going to kind of leave this to you, Vampire Peaches, because this is way more of your territory. We don't want to spend a half hour on it, but definitely want to kind of leave it more to you. I'm sure you saw things in it that made more sense, and of course, we're talking about Star Wars here. EA was like, "Listen, we've got Star Wars for you guys." They blasted out the music, and they were just like, this woman came on, and she was just like, "EA, Star Wars." Seven different studios. 7 different studios working on Star Wars content. That's a lot of studios within EA's portfolio, right? Now, I believe that it's 6 different titles, or at least 6 different games that they're working on. They mentioned a whole bunch of games. I don't want to jump into all of them, but they did. Let's just start off with the big one, which is Battlefront. They mentioned that Battlefront 1 and the Old Republic and I think a mobile game are all going to get content throughout the year, but Battlefront 2 is coming out next year. They said that it's coming out next year, and they literally were just like, hey, listen, we're listening to you guys, okay? Like, we get it. You guys are mad. We'll get you more content, all right? And there's more content coming with the new movie, okay? So don't yell at us anymore. They basically said that. Also, they said that in 2018, Amy Hennig's game, otherwise known as Visceral Studios, is making they're making a new game, which we already knew about, but with brand new characters. So this is interesting. This is totally new territory. I'm pretty sure that Amy Hennig was like, let me do what I want within this universe. And they said, okay. And then they mentioned Respawn as well, Respawn Entertainment, making a third-person action game similar to Amy Hennig's game, but different as well. And after that, they showed a big clip about what's going on at EA and what's going on with LucasArts and how they're all coming together and making these games. We saw some interesting things. For example, Battlefront 2 will definitely have VR in it. I thought that was pretty cool. They're working with Motive Studios, I believe another EA studio. It may be a third-party studio that they're bringing in, or a second party or something. But there will definitely be VR. They showed a PlayStation VR headset. They didn't actually announce anything.
I really enjoyed that. That was a PSVR, like straight up.
Yeah. It wasn't a random, no-name headset. It was a PSVR, and I believe we'll see that at the PlayStation event, at the PlayStation conference tomorrow, or whenever you guys are watching this. But it's going to be Monday, I believe 8:30 or 9:30 or something like that. I believe we'll see Star Wars in VR. So we'll see how that goes. They also showed Respawn's game, or at least the motion capture of Respawn's game, which showed lightsaber battles. So I'm assuming that this one's going to be way more about Jedi and Sith, whereas Visceral Games and Amy Hennig, who was working with a guy named Doug Cheng, I believe, we're talking way more about this, I think, a third-person action game with a shooter aspect. They showed a little bit of in-game engine, a guy walking out of this like hut kind of house thing, and some TIE fighters flew by. I believe they're TIE fighters, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was awesome. It looked awesome. It gave me this Uncharted vibe, even though I know, it's not the same thing or the same studio, but Amy Hennig, which by the way, worked on the Uncharted series. But that was everything that I really got from the Star Wars presence. There were some other things that I wasn't as interested in, and so you didn't actually hear me talk about them. Again, that mobile game and the Knights of the Old Republic, but those were the big ones. Vampire Peaches, clean it up for me. Tell me what I missed. How do you feel about the Star Wars franchise?
God damn it again! Like first of all, they're like, we have all these studios working on Star Wars games. Let me see. Oh look, Lando. I was like, holy crap, that's Billy D. Williams. That's amazing. Let me see. And then like, okay, more on this thing. I'm like, okay. And then they're like, hey, look at all this stuff. Look at all the developers working on really cool stuff. And I'm like, that Asian guy was like, look at all this concept art. Okay, let me see. And they're like, I'm like, God damn it. And then they showed each studio and what they're doing, little hints about what they're doing. And I'm like, okay, this must be leading up to some like weird reveal or something like that. First of all, when they said Battlefront 2, like we have a video like set up. I don't know when Jinga wants to.
I've got it.
It's the full like 10-minute rant of why I'm not happy about Battlefront 2 so soon. Just because like Battlefront itself was just a bare bones package. But I'm glad that they're listening. And they're very like, yeah, we're listening. Stop. Bye. I'm like, okay. When I saw the lightsaber battles, I'm like, are they bringing back Jedi Knight? I wouldn't be surprised at all if like EA was like, hey, third-person Jedi action game. Let's go for it again. Let's revitalize Jedi Knight. Let's go for it again. And I'm like, freaking awesome. Just in, Titanfall 2's PS4 Vanguard Edition costs $250, and it comes with a helmet.
They can't do it on my phone.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. But overall, it was sort of I want to see what you're doing, especially when I saw that mocap and stuff. And then Amy Hennig was like, oh, by the way, what I'm working on is going to be like flipping amazing. I'm like, I have no doubt, Amy. Let me see. And then they're like, oh, look, a guy walking out. I'm like, okay, cool. Star Wars Nathan Drake and Tatooine. That's freaking awesome. Let me see. Nothing. So it's just like, okay, thank you for reminding me of stuff. Maybe we'll see stuff throughout the week from other publishers. Be like, I know that Andrew has his like, I love Star Wars. I'm wearing my Star Wars underpants right now. Here's VR, and here's Amy Hennig's new game that's coming out 2018. And we're like, okay, let me see. I know they're going to talk about Battlefront, obviously, because we're tied with PlayStation. I know we're going to see Billy D. Williams and like a Dengar and the gameplay for Cloud City. Give me a twist. Say that it's $5 instead of 15, you swindlers. But we'll see what happens. Overall, it's like, I'm so happy so many Star Wars projects are on the way, but it's just the nerd in me that's like, just show it to me. Just please. Whatever.
All right. Yeah. I mean, do you have anything to say, Quincy, about it?
No. I kind of wanted a Republic Commando sequel, but that didn't happen.
Maybe Respawn's doing something like that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, the new title's announced. That was pretty much all I really cared about from the Star Wars front.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Republic Commando was just a great shooter with a great story in a Star Wars universe. So I was like, you could do a lot with that.
I won't be surprised if they bring up like Rogue Squadron or something like that, or they kind of make it like a Star Fox thing.
Just call it Imperial Commando and make them execute Order 66, and then you're done.
Who wants to kill Jedi? Who wants to be a part of mass genocide? Yay! Rated T.
Well, I think in general, I think for me, again, I'm not interested necessarily in always getting a reveal. I'm not always ready for it. And here's the next game, and here's the next game. I think it's great because E3 is a convention, right? It's where they talk about a conference, right? It's got tons of conferences. And so you take the EA conference, and it's really telling the industry, this is what we have, this is what we work on. And if you guys watch any other development conferences, like, for example, Google's I/O, or actually I think today is happening with WWDC, which is the Worldwide Developers Conference for Apple, they really talk about hardcore intense, like this is what we're working on, and this is what you guys as developers can get ready for. Obviously, when we're talking about developers speaking to us as players, again, it's to start these hype trains. It's to talk about what they're working on. And I think we got to see some games that were in the making and are now here. So we got to see lots of gameplay of some really big games. And in terms of the Star Wars universe, it's a little bit different, right? They have to make sure that they really keep the hype train steady and not just blast out tons of gameplay, because it's a beloved franchise by everyone. And that's what they were really pushing towards this time around was, listen, like, we've got games and it's for everyone. We've got first-person shooters, third-person action. We got mobile games. We've got it all for you guys. So if you like Star Wars, we've got something for you. And I thought that was really, really cool that they said that. Of course, it's EA. And like we said, obviously, to me, I think it's very obvious that Battlefront 1 was a tease. They threw it out. They said, you guys gonna buy this? Everybody bought it, and it got good ratings. Not great ratings, but good ratings. And people were like, yeah, this is a good game. Give us more. And they're like, oh, don't worry. We'll give you more throughout the year, and then we'll give you a second one. And everyone's like, okay, fine. And that's what they're saying. No one's mad enough, right? People are going to buy this game again. But the biggest thing for me was just the fact that they showed, yes, we have more games coming out, and they talked about the developers working on them, because that's what it is, right? It's a conference. It's to talk about what the developers are working on. And EA spoke about a whole bunch of stuff, but they were really talking about, this is the developers and this is what they're doing. So I think on a publisher standpoint, no, we didn't get to see a ton, but we get to see a little bit. And I'm cool with that. I think this upcoming fall, there's a lot of great games coming out, and they'll probably tease some more. And then, this time next year, they'll just throw it all at us and say, hey, we've got more games, because they're not going to come up with a Titanfall 3 or a Battlefield 2. You know what I mean? Like, we'll still be playing Battlefield. We'll still be playing Titanfall. And so that's when they'll talk about these new games. But in general, yeah, I thought Star Wars was okay. I thought it was okay. I feel very similarly with you. Yeah, okay, we know what you guys are working on. Cool. Thanks for letting us know that. Anything else before we move on to the finale?
No, I think we're ready to talk about the big one. Look, hello, it's
hey,
guys, everyone. Hey.
All right, so let's jump in. Let's jump into the finale of this EA conference, which is Battlefield 1. Battlefield 1.
Yay!
So what I personally, I feel like that EA started off really strong with Titanfall 2, and then they jumped really hard in at the end with Battlefield 1. The middle, everything in the middle was good, and I think they know that, it's science says, that everybody remembers what they first see and the end, right? They remember the beginning and they remember the end. The middle is like kind of, okay, yeah, I kind of remember all that happened. And I think that's why the middle was sports and of course, Mass Effect and Star Wars, because they didn't really have anything to show that was concrete. They just showed that we're working on these. But the beginning and the end was gameplay. The beginning and the end was release dates. And it was intense. Battlefield 1 was intense. And we will talk about the live stream afterwards. But in general, the announcement of Battlefield 1 and showing, not the announcement, but showing Battlefield 1, and unfortunately, they showed, we've seen, not unfortunately, but we've seen a lot of Battlefield 1 in general. We just haven't seen any real gameplay, and we finally saw it. But they mentioned, they didn't mention too much. They really just mentioned that it's 64 players once again, and that the destruction is really what's different in this game. Kind of a callback to Bad Company 2. And then they mentioned the weather, and they mentioned the massive vehicles. So there's the normal vehicles, but they also mentioned the massive ones, the giant aircraft carriers and the giant dirigibles or airships. So they have these things that can control land, sea, and air. And I thought that was really cool. They also mentioned a release date. And I'm not 100% sure about the release date, because Quincy, I thought I heard October 21. Am I wrong? You heard it differently?
They might have moved it. I remember reading that they wanted to release them 3 weeks apart. But let me just look it up right now.
Sure. Let me know when you hear about it, because I do remember hearing that it was supposed to be 3 weeks, but I'm pretty sure I heard the release date was October 25th.
They moved it to October 21st, 2016.
Very weird, very weird. I'm not sure why they did that. That's only a 7-day difference. And maybe they honestly don't think that there's a competition there. Maybe they think that Battlefield is Battlefield and that Titanfall is going to go against Call of Duty. Who knows? I'll definitely be jumping into Battlefield 1, but in general, it was a lot of wow. I was just like, wow, this is amazing. Wow, this is big. Wow, this is intense. The only thing that I was a little concerned about was I know that they keep having the Harlem Hellfighters up there in the front, but I haven't seen any gameplay about that. I haven't seen any.
A lot of white hands playing. A lot of white hands.
Yeah, so I'm just not really sure how I mean, it's cool. I'm glad that they showed, the Harlem Hellfighters and that they exist in this time period and they're paying homage to them. I'm assuming, they have a statue of him in the big, of one of the Harlem Hellfighters as one of the, things that you can get. And I just felt like, are we going to see, the campaign? We have time. It's on October. There's still time.
The white guy looking up at the blimp more than we had the Harlem Hellfighters in this game, and a lot of tank people.
Sure, but they do have the Harlem Hellfighters in the game, right? I'm not going to say that EA needs to start shoving black people down our throat. I'm not saying that. I'm totally cool with seeing white people. There were more white people, and when we're talking about this, the Germans versus the UK. There were white people, but in general, I hope to hear a little bit more about the campaign because that really interests me. But in general, I did really like seeing everything that was there. And then in general, we'll talk about the live stream afterwards. But how did you guys feel, aside from the live stream, how did you guys feel about kind of what they talked about with Battlefield 1?
Bro, give me that. That was amazing. Holy crap!
Gameplay was pretty great.
What the freaking most beautiful game I've ever seen in my life. Did you see that? That was insane. That was so insane. Because first of all, when they show in-game footage, people usually are like, oh no, it doesn't look like that, because they definitely showed the proof of the pudding with Battlefront, right? Like, look at these in-game, in-engine footage, and I'm like, there's no way. But since we saw that, and then they showed in-game footage for Battlefield 1, I'm like, I have no doubt it looks like that. And they're like, hey, guess what? It looks like that. And I'm like, look at the biplanes, look at the behemoth class vehicles, look at everyone playing. Is that Tyrese? Anyway, yeah, look at all this crap. It's just, I don't know, dude, I'm blown away. But then again, I'm new to Battlefield because I played a tiny smidge of 3 with you, and then I played the crap out of 4 and the crap out of Hardline. So coming from a guy that actually is the OG best games of Bad Company, how do you feel? This looks awesome to me personally.
This is very similar to Bad Company 2, definitely, which is pretty much what everyone's been asking for. Every year when Battlefield's come out, we're like, Bad Company 3, or is it not? But
what setting did Bad Company have?
Bad Company 3 was just modern. It was just, or Bad Company 2, I'm sorry, was modern.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Destruction 2.0 was just great. You're in the side of a helicopter and that chain gun just rips through buildings. And Battlefield 3 was the same way, just kind of scaled back. Battlefield 4's Levolution was kind of like an amusement park ride. Like, anyone can trigger this one event.
And about now, that building will fall.
Yeah, and you got it. And you know when it's going to happen. It's like, all right, they did that. Now this building's going to fall. Now I got to go through that. But it seems like now they're kind of more having dynamic destruction where
tanks are ripping through different parts of buildings and fences.
Fell into the map and destroyed the village, and then it was just there. That's now a new obstacle you have to deal with. But typically with DICE, and I've noticed this, was they have pre-alphas, they have betas for multiplayer. Right. And they show in E3, they show campaign. Why they didn't this year, I'm assuming, is because people are more interested in how its multiplayer stacks up.
I guess they really want to be like, hey, multiplayer in this works. It's not just trench warfare. Don't deny the diversity of the war. To get to his point about the Harlem Hellfighters, I know typically you have character selections for I know each class is a bit different, but I know in this game they have vehicle classes. So I know the tank fighters are different than a regular assault. So maybe they have a pilot class where it is a Harlem Hellfighter for the American side, and then you have the options to kind of pick and choose your characters, because there's not a lot of weapon customization. So they might want to give you more character customization than weapons this time around. So
I completely agree. The number one thing for me was that they said they had a medic class this time around, which they do not have in any other games. It's always assault, and then the assault happens to have a med kit. They have a legitimate medic class. So I'm pumped about that. There was a lot of cool stuff. We can kind of segue into the very end of this. After the conference, they talked about the live stream and they showed the actual gameplay. Aside from the awkwardness, which we'll get to again, there was awesome. The gameplay was sick. The gameplay was gorgeous. I cannot wait to actually just go on YouTube and watch these because, again, it was through a live stream, and so it wasn't great, but it did look really, really good. Again, I couldn't really see exactly how everything was supposed to go in terms of the fidelity, but the actual gameplay looked sick. They were talking about the rain falling on the guns. They were talking about things crushing through buildings, the giant airship falling down, and like you said, leveling a whole entire town, right? And it's like, well, now what do? We have to deal with this thing. It's like they took Levolution and put it in a vehicle. Like, let's take the Levolution aspect of crushing an entire city. Let's just put it in a vehicle, and if the vehicle blows up, let's just let it fall wherever it's going to fall and blow everything up. And I was like, no, this is what we needed. I loved Battlefield 3. It was one of the most amazing times I've had. It reminded me of MAG so much, which you guys know, the subscribers out there know what MAG is because I talk about it all the time. But Battlefield 4 was good. I had some issues with it. Didn't even jump into Hardline because I did have issues with Battlefield 4. But this game, I think, is bringing back that classic class-based gameplay that is just as raw as any of those other, first-person shooters. It just looked awesome, and it's completely different. We're not going to be playing a game where it's the same kind of weapons with different scopes on them and stuff like that. These are like World War I weapons, like some weird weapons that you've never seen before because they're weird, and they don't even make sense half the time. But they're cool. They exist, and we're going to have to play differently. The bayonet charge was really cool. The way you deal with vehicles, it seems like every class has a way to kind of damage the vehicle at least. If 3 infantry guys use all of their tank grenades, they can take down a tank. They can do it. If everyone if they see a giant airship and everyone says, okay, we got to destroy this airship, some people can fly out on planes, they can use anti-air, and they can take down that airship. I think that's really awesome that they're kind of letting everybody have this autonomy while still allowing people to have these specific classes. And the 64 versus 64 is going to be insane. And speaking about all of that, the 64 versus 64 was weird. They had apparently two really well-known Battlefield players and YouTube channel personalities. I know that, and some of the top players in general for I keep mixing up all my shooters for Battlefield. And so they brought them in. Then they also brought a whole bunch of celebrities, which was super weird. They brought the game. They brought Tyrese. They brought some
David Fox players. Efron, what are you doing here?
They brought Wiz Khalifa and Snoop Dogg. I was like, what is going on? This was the weirdest thing.
He's a huge, well-known fan of first-person shooters. So
who is
Snoop Dogg?
Sure, okay, but it was still weird. he may be a fan, but I don't know if you saw his gameplay. It was terrible. He couldn't aim.
He was probably high and a half. You know what I mean? He's about
sure, but he can play when he's high. You can play games when you're high. Have you ever seen Katamari Damacy? I mean, like that game is made for high people, and you can play it, and it's hard to play. So, I'm just saying, besides the fact that I think that everyone was high during that, Jamie Foxx and Zac Efron were definitely high. If they weren't, the whole thing was just weird. I thought it was kind of cool to some degree, but it was weird. It was weird.
I was having a great time. He was singing into the camera. He's like, "Oh yeah, play this game." I'm like, "I want to game with that guy." Sure, let's do it.
Sure. I don't know. That was weird. They also had Lupe Fiasco, who, if you guys don't know, Lupe Fiasco is a really great fighting games player. He actually he's part of the fighting games community, and it's a really big deal. But in FPS, he was there. The guys questioned him, like, how do you feel about this? You think you're going to win? He's like, I suck at this game. We all suck at this game. So,
so Cruz came up. He was like, I am so excited to play. I'm like, what? Who? What? You play games? What? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to be on the mouse and keyboard because that's the way you do it. I'm like, what? What?
I don't know. It was weird. It was weird. I don't know. But in general, closing remarks for the EA conference. I thought it was cool. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I lazy Sunday, kind of waiting for the next game to start, the next conference to start, which is Bethesda's conference, which I'm really excited for. I'm excited to see some things about that. No predictions here. We'll just talk about exactly what's going to happen during the conference. But like I said, I like the whole thing. Started off really strong with Titanfall 2. I am legitimately pumped for that game. It looks awesome. All of the Titans just going at it. Like the fact that it looks like they can be they're doing their own thing and you can jump into them. And I don't know, it just looked sick. It looked so much really intense action. I thought in general the feel of the EA conference was really good. It was smooth. It was clean. It all worked. All of the middle was okay. I thought it was fine. I thought they showed things that I was interested in, like Mass Effect Andromeda. I was like, okay, you're still making it, and I get to actually see and hear what it's about. I'm still waiting to hear more, and they mentioned that I will be able to hear more about it in the fall, so I'll be waiting. And then, of course, the EA Originals was cool. Star Wars was nice to hear about, but again, I'm just kind of leaving that on the back burner. The most exciting thing for me was Respawn's game and Amy Hennig's game at Visceral. And then, of course, Battlefield 1. Great closing. Awkward closing, but it was great. A lot of great action. I'm pumped for it. I will definitely be buying that game. I'm going to buy both. I'm definitely going to get both as long as they're actually good. But Battlefield 1 and Titanfall 2 really stole the show, especially Battlefield 1. I mean, they had a whole hour of live stream afterwards. And again, I can't wait to actually check this stuff out on YouTube. Any closing remarks for you guys before we wrap up?
I'm sure I can speak for both of us when I say that we can't wait for the actual YouTube footage to go up 1080p, 60 FPS, and actually see that without the weird, pixelation, the horrible rendering of the.
I mean, and they did a good job bringing on some good YouTube personalities for it. I mean, you have he's pretty well known. You have Jack Frags. He's like the number one source of news for Battlefield. You have Russian Badger, who, I mean, lately he's been doing different games, but he started out playing Battlefield back on YouTube.
But then you have Gavin from Rooster Teeth. It's like, what?
Yeah, those guys, and they're one of the most popular channels on YouTube.
Yeah.
But and it's good to get them on. But I don't know if Sergeant Enigma was there. I'm not sure. I didn't really see him, but he's another great source of news. So I mean, they have a lot of good names and good players in there that help.
And it's very clear that they're paying attention to that coverage on YouTube, which is important. Which means that I'm very much looking forward to exclusive reveals from different sorts of personalities. Being like, hey, I played this game. Let's show more about Battlefield 1's campaign. I'm gonna play a mission today. So it's gonna be very interesting the way they're gonna advertise it.
I'll probably check Badger's stream or his channel.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Right. Yeah, awesome. Good. Yeah, I think it was a good intro for E3. Honestly, I think it's going to go up from here. I know you and I are both way more interested in Bethesda's conference, and so I think anything that comes from Bethesda, as long as it's not crap, I think anything that's going to come from them is going to be good, and I'm going to be way more excited. And then it's Microsoft, which I'm always excited to hear what Microsoft has to say. Ubisoft, which has a lot of gameplay that they need to show, and if they show a lot of great gameplay, I think that Ubisoft could really pull off some big games here. And then, of course, Sony. And when we see Sony, it's going to be big. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. We're going to have a couple more up. Obviously, this is just for EA. We will be having, hopefully by the end of tonight, we will have a Bethesda reaction as well. And then, of course, tomorrow we will have all of the other conferences as separate videos. We don't want to bombard you with tons of hours of footage. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like it if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it. Subscribe and share for more awesome Chain Gear Gaming content. And remember, if you guys are interested in hearing more about this, make sure you go over to Peach's Picks. Again, it's on SoundCloud. I don't know if he has it up on anywhere else. You have Vampire Peaches, but in the description below, we'll make sure we have those links for you guys so you guys can check it out. But otherwise, that's it from me, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you online. And, of course, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot, guys.
E3! You can use that in the intro.
What was that?
Oh, I always go out with that. Maybe you should watch more Chain Gear Gaming content on youtube.com/Chain Gear Gaming.